This information you are about to hear and perhaps view, these are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C.Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no way, shape, or form affiliated with the parties this story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Haard News, hosted by Gary C.Clement. Today's news is made up of so many different issues, and it's hard to keep up. But we all know it's important to keep law enforcement in the community and society, as many in America have a problem doing the right thing. Growing up, my mother always said it's easy to do right, but so many people choose wrong, and once you get in trouble, it's very hard to get out of it. Haard News will tackle all issues that break the barriers of justice for all, freedom for all, and simply a good and strong meaning of democracy for all. The show covers politics, crime, gun violence in our communities, and will introduce guests who have a personal stake in these issues. So without further ado, please enjoy this week of Haard News, hosted by Gary C. Clement. Hi, I'm Gary C. Clement, and welcome to Haard News. Guns, drugs, gangs, and violence is slowly destroying America and its communities. And every day we see more and more of these stories in the press. Unfortunately, our black and brown men and women are blamed for a lot of these attacks on society. Today on Haard News, it's important to examine where many of these problems are coming from, the issues that spark our culture to create such havoc and destruction. Our guest for this episode is the Godfather of West Coast Hip-Hop, Mr. Alonzo Williams, whom many credit for helping the start of the rap group NWA, which featured Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and Ice Cube, and also was a part of the documentary and a book, Not Without Alonzo. And my buddy and my friend, Mr. Ron Dub. How are you all today?
Hey, I'm good. Great.
Wonderful. Okay. So first of all, the three issues that I want to kind of discuss here today will be, first of all, is number one, former Congresswoman, now Mayor Karen Bass, creating homeless shelters in Los Angeles. Second thing is Los Angeles, has a problem of drugs, guns, and gangs. And we want to compare the differences between what happened in the early days compared to what's going on and stuff now. And number three is black men facing racism and incarceration at an alarming rate in our country. Okay, gentlemen, so where can we start here? All right. So like I said again, first of all, Alonzo, since you're from the West Coast, what is your take and stuff on Karen Bass, trying to create a solution for the homeless issues and stuff there?
Well, I think that's right now. I think it's a pretty good. She put in a pretty good effort. I had the pleasure of before she became the mayor, being a part of a semi-private town hall meeting she held at a buddy of mine's house. And she, when asked what was her first thing she was going to do in the first 100 days, was to do her best to knock down a good percentage of the homeless encampments around Los Angeles. And so far, she's a woman of her word. I can't. It still has a long way to go, but I see the efforts there, and that part for me is commendable.
I see. Okay, because she's not the first Afro-American to be mayor there, is she?
No, we had Tom Bradley back in the day when I was a kid. That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I think back in the 60s, maybe early 70s, Tom Bradley was the first African-American mayor of Los Angeles.
I see. Okay. And so since that time, I guess the homeless problem, has always kind of sort of been with us. But I guess now compared to then, it's what, 3, 4, maybe 500 times, the amount of homeless people out there now, or?
Well, a lot of laws have changed over the years that contributed to the homeless situation. And some of them, I can't say that all of them are fair. For example, when I think it was Bill Clinton, when he was in office, he changed one of the laws that says no felons can live in any federal housing. Okay, because what would happen is guys got out of jail and they can go live with their baby mamas. Okay, but if the baby mama was on Section 8, she couldn't live there no more. So, and if anybody was in a federally funded program and got committed, and somebody was caught doing a crime like selling dope or whatever the case may be, and they lived at an address that was sponsored by the feds, everybody had to get out. And I know people personally here in Los Angeles who were victimized. The entire family was victimized because something the son or daughter may have done. Mama had no knowledge, but because the child had that address, they were forced out of that situation.
Wow.
So one thing I know about the government, when they come in, they either come in too soft or too hard. And same thing with 3 strikes. It came in too hard. Now you can't get arrested for hardly anything in California because they done got too soft. There's never a real happy medium. And that's just an example of what I've seen over my years in Los Angeles.
I see. Okay, cool. So therefore, it sounds like then, Karen Bass, she's doing a pretty good job thus far.
Thus far, of course, no matter what she does, there's going to be some haters, there's going to be some detractors. But for the most part, I see her making efforts, and that right there is that's always a good start.
Yes, sir. Right. Okay, cool. So our second issue here, which is, guns, drugs, gangs. In the early days of NWA, I know at one point you talked about the Iran-Contra, where he actually brought drugs and stuff into the communities and that kind of thing. If you could expand on that, and then we'll get to the other part of this question.
Well, it's no secret that Oliver North and other people coordinated with the cocaine producers to fund the war overseas, and by using cocaine as a source of income. And it was brought straight to the ghettos of Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and money went right back to fund that war that Ronald Reagan wouldn't fund and Congress wouldn't fund. And there's a television show based on that, Snowfall. A gentleman who I've come to know over the years, Freeway Rick Ross, was one of the main gentlemen, main providers, distributors of cocaine. And that situation within itself is something that I feel, along with our debt that's owed to us for reparations for slavery, that's another debt that's another debt that's owed to the black communities, because that situation right there was a direct relationship, directly related to what Ronald Reagan did, taking all the jobs out of the community, taking the shop classes out of the community, and just creating a employment drought, and then replacing that drought with the drug trade, which a lot of people became a part of. And at some point in time, some people thought it was a good thing, but we all know, looking back, hindsight being 2020, it was definitely a very devastating thing to all communities, and nobody won at all. Nobody.
I see. Wow. So I guess, because I remember our conversation, like I said, a couple of years ago, where you were telling me about, when you had the opportunity to work with Dr. Dre and all the guys and stuff starting out or whatnot, things were totally different back then. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, when I first, again, I've been raised around Compton in Los Angeles all my life. So I've seen better days. I've seen different days. Excuse me. We've always had gangs, and we've always had some type of drugs. But the difference is, when I was coming up, drugs were a no-no for kids. What I mean by it is, adults control the drug game. You didn't see no 15, 16-year-old cocaine dealers. The price of drugs, the cost of drugs back then was a lot more expensive, especially cocaine. And it wasn't something that you can get just by working a few weeks on the corner. And it was a gentleman's game. You didn't see kids involved in it. Even the gang situation that we had back in the day, gangsters had a code. They didn't come around a lot of schools. They didn't really deal with people that weren't in the gang. A lot of the stuff was kept amongst themselves. And at some point in time, the requirements for selling dope and gangs went down the drain, and it became a free fall for anybody to want to be a part of it. Even in my neighborhood, I couldn't be a part of my gang in my neighborhood. My neighborhood had a gang, but even if I wanted to be a part of it, which my daddy would have killed me, they wouldn't let me be a part of it because they knew I was a Catholic school kid, and they knew that I wasn't cut out for that. So they wouldn't let me be a part of it. In fact, just for example, I would never forget, the guys were smoking one day. I passed by, they were smoking cigarettes. I passed by, stopped talking to them for a minute. I went home and I got cigarette smoke in my clothes. My mom brought me back upstairs, fussed them all out, told them if you out here smoking and you see him, you make him cross the street, because if I had to come up here, it's going to be a problem, okay? And from that point on, every time they were smoking cigarettes, they ran me away from that. And they wasn't doing nothing illegal. It's just that my mama had the respect that whatever she said went. And I don't see that no more. And that's all the direct result of the fact that you got some mamas, not all, some mamas who work with the gangs. They let them cook dope in the house. They accept the money from the kids who are out in the streets, and it just change the game and lower the moral fiber that are necessary to maintain a household in the community. And that's just my personal opinion. It had nothing to do with this channel or the host of this show. I got to give you a disclaimer, sir.
Yes, sir. Wow. Yes, sir. I hear you. So when it comes to, like you said, dealing with, the young people in our communities and whatnot. Now, I was going to say, we have a lot of these problems, I guess. And would you say that part of the problem would be the parents, perhaps?
Well, if you got, if you have a young man that's can't get a good job and he gets a sack and able to make $400 or $500 a week, and able to help out a single mom with some bills, and because the dad's not around, and he's pretty much taking care of himself at a young age and able to help out around the house at an early age. Some mamas will turn a blind eye to what he's doing and pray for him and hope that he don't get hurt or killed, and support his efforts and accept the money. Back in my day, shoot, I knew a couple guys that were out in the streets. They were a lot older, and they couldn't get their mom a Mother's Day gift for the money they bought from dope dealer. No, I don't want nothing you got. And that's just how things have changed, Doc.
Right, I see. I got you. Okay. You also mentioned something too about reparations or whatnot for Afro-Americans, since everything that went down and stuff years ago. Talk a little bit more about that, please. Well,
right now we're in the process of trying to get reparations for the slave trade of the from the 1600s, 1700s. But also, I feel that because the drugs were deliberately dropped into our community and deliberately set us back decades, they weren't dropped in no other communities but ours. They eventually spread over to other communities, but they were delivered here personally with the intention on generating money and also undermining whatever progress we had made in the 80s. 80s was not a bad year for us. The 80s was not a bad time for us. We were just coming out of the 70s, and we had some black consciousness, and it's like we got set back to negative 10, I should say, when the crack era came around. Everything changed. I mean, even me, I had a teen club for years, from 1979 to 1986. And I remember I was able to go to work at my teen club wearing suits and RSO shoes and be the cleanest guy in the room, just like a neighborhood Don Cornelius. And I left the club, started doing some other things in the record industry, came back about 5 years later with the same attitude, but I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't wear suits no more. I couldn't wear my fancy clothes. I had to wear tennis shoes and jeans and sweatshirts because the ratio of gangbangers to civilians had changed so dramatically. In the 70s and early 80s, it may have been 5%, maybe 10% gangbanger, 90% civilian. When I came back in the early 90s, it was 90% gangbanger, 5% civilian. I use these two movies as an example. Mm-hmm. When you saw House Party, mm-hmm. with Martin Lawrence and Kid and Play, mm-hmm. they only had 3 gangsters in the whole movie. Okay. They had 3 gangsters in the movie. Brother Full Force. They was the bad guys in the movie. Mm-hmm. A year later, you got Boys in the Hood. Mm-hmm. Now you only got 3 guys in the movie. There's 8 gangbangers, and one of them got killed. That's how the streets changed, just like that. We went from house party to boys in the hood, just like that. And it's been boys in the hood ever since.
Wow.
We don't have no more house parties. Kids want to have house parties, but they turn into crime scenes as soon as somebody get mad at somebody. The skills for conflict resolution is zero. It's only one thing that matters is my respect. If I got to kill you and kill you or maim you to get my respect and risk doing 15, 20, 25 years to life in prison, I want to do that for my respect, which I think is kind of odd because this is the most disrespectful generation I've ever experienced in my life.
Right.
They don't respect nobody and nothing, but they want to be respected. And I think that's just asinine.
Right. So this problem that we have with guns, and I know you all probably see high caliber everything out there, where does that come from in a sense of, like you said, many of us in the black community, many of our kids and stuff in the black community are, like you said, finding these high power guns and stuff. They got to come from somewhere.
Well, when you look at Chicago, LA, New York, no matter what that particular city gun laws are, there's a state right next door that don't have the same laws.
Right.
Perfect example. Arizona and Nevada got totally different gun laws from California.
Right.
Arizona is an open carry state. So it'll take but a few hours to drive to Arizona.
Right.
Same thing in Chicago. Okay, the city of Chicago got some strict gun laws, but you're surrounded by states that don't have the same gun laws. New York, you can get from Atlanta to New York in 6 hours. Mm-hmm. So New York may have strict gun laws, but you can go to Atlanta or any other city any other state down south and be up in New York in a matter of hours with all the guns you need. So unless it's a uniform situation, you can't stop nothing because, like I said, I may not want weeds in my yard, but my neighbor got weeds. I'm gonna get weeds too.
Right, that's true.
Simple as that. And I'm experiencing that personally right now. My neighbors got weeds in their yards, and guess what? I got weeds in mine. I can spray all I want to, but they coming right back.
Right.
Okay, until my neighbor get rid of his weeds, I can't get rid of mine.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. Right. Okay. So the violence, would you say that the violence now is a lot worse than what it used to be? Like you said, back in the, early 90s, to the middle, do you think it's worse now?
Well, I'm gonna speak for Compton. Mm-hmm. I'm in Compton on a daily basis. The violence level in Compton has subsided quite a bit. Mm-hmm. A lot of the kids, the children of gangbangers realize that the parents' mistakes, and some of them are trying to do things to change their lives. Mm-hmm. But then you got another level of respect of violence that's taking place that's replaced gangbanging in some aspects, like street takeovers. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not a violent act per se, but it turns into violent acts very easily. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you got 100 kids running up into a 7-Eleven or AMPM to steal potato chips and cigarettes, that's terrorizing the cashier, and it's definitely a violent act. And sometimes people get shot, people get killed at these street takeovers. Mm-hmm. And although it's not your typical gangbanging, but it still has it's very disrespectful to the community because a lot of these things take place in the middle of an intersection. Cars can't go through, police can't go through, firemen can't go through, ambulances can't go through. The cars are loud, the tires are screeching, and people can't sleep. They got to go to work the next day, so it's very disrespectful. And when you try to resolve it, a lot of times that turns into violence. Right. Okay, you got guys jumping on the hoods of police cars, and these cops are scared. So as soon as somebody gets shot or get hurt, everybody want to start marching. Well, you should have thought about that before you got hopped on the man's hood in the man's car. Most cops have the same philosophy that we all do. I just want to go home to my family.
That's right.
But these youngsters, they live to go viral.
Right.
So if they can do something, somebody can record it, post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the case may be, and no matter how stupid it is, they still love it. And a lot of times they put themselves in jeopardy and other people in jeopardy by doing these kind of things. And it's just amazing that more people don't stand up against it.
Right. And that's, you bring up another point too, because like you said, technology, I guess you could say, is kind of sort of a part of this situation too. It's causing, would you say that it's causing more violence or more problems because our kids are, that's what they want to do now, post everything and stuff on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, opposed to how we used to do things, which was what, a fist fight and it's over, you know? So what do you think?
Well, you
about
know,
that? Go ahead.
technology has changed everything. There's a camera everywhere around us, Ring cameras, ATM cameras. People got cameras in their back pockets.
Mm-hmm.
We never had all that. And most of these kids don't know the law. And I know there's a popular podcaster that has been accused of working with the feds.
Mm.
But when you watch the episodes that these guys are on, these fools are too stupid to realize that there's no statute of limitations for kidnap and murder.
Right.
So they'll talk on camera about a crime that's the statute of limitations is not up on yet, trying to win some credibility and find themselves in handcuffs with a court case and with the nerve to say somebody snitched on me. Mm-hmm. You told on yourself, fool. And then you want to get mad at the man because he posted it. You told him all this information about something he didn't ask you. He asked you one question, and you try to start talking about stuff that to make yourself look big. Meanwhile, you're doing a lot of self-incrimination, mm-hmm. and you get mad because now you in custody. That don't make no sense. They don't understand the rules of the game, man. You know, the game ain't changed.
Right.
When I was coming up, if you did something that dumb or stupid, you did it by yourself, and you prayed that if they did find out you did it, the statute of limitations was up. These kids don't know nothing about that. They got you got robbers, people robbing stores and flexing the money on Instagram. Right. They wonder why the police kicking their door in.
Mm-hmm. Ron, I know this is happening in Philadelphia too, so please tell us your side of things.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, it's interesting to find out what's going on the West Coast. Here on the East Coast, it's like an epidemic, especially right here in Philadelphia. I mean, I was born and raised and grew up here in Philadelphia, and I'm not real close to all the inner workings of the outside as far as the gang and how they integrate with one another. But we've had gang problems for quite some time now. Like I was speaking to Gary some time ago about when we first started. It was like neighborhood turfs. Like we got Norris Street, we got Diamond Street, we got Crosstown, we got the Zulu Nation, the Diamond Streeters. All those different areas had gangs, and it was based on a lot of the youth. I mean, like they're like the school kids and stuff coming home from school, and fundraising was taking your lunch money and kicking your behind, and if you were in the wrong area, you got beat up. Then it got violent. It got to the point where there was some shootings. Like I had a brother who was involved in the gang warfare, and he lived up what they call the Tenderloin. That's up North Philly, closer to Northwest Philly. Anyway, he was involved in that, and I didn't even know this because I used to take my little brother around with me and show him around when I first came back from the Navy. Well, long story short, he got involved, and they were having gang wars, and one of his buddies got shot. And so he ended up pushing him around in a wheelchair. And then from that point on, he realized what he was doing didn't make sense, and he decided he was going to start working for his people. Got into like the Afro cultural thing and started doing work. But now today in Philadelphia, you turn on your TV in the mornings, and it's almost every other morning somebody is shot. They break it up on the news that somebody shot somebody. Now, like, I know it's different categories. It's like you have crimes of passion, you got road rage, you got some police killings, but most of the killings seem to be from anger or from some type of maybe gang related as far as drugs or something like that. But Philadelphia is become notorious right now for shootings. In fact, it was just on the news. They got some gang, it's got some kind of number, and I heard in Strawberry Mansion, that's near Fairmount Park, they said that this gang was shooting people, killing people for the members back to get a reputation or for initiation or something like that. Now they flashed it, and then I haven't heard anything more about it. But it's gotten to the point now that kids are getting shot. They had a kid up in was going, a school kid was shot by another youth who was a lot older at Roxborough High School in Philadelphia. This just recently. I live in the Germantown area, right? Germantown is a very nice, pristine area when it comes to housing and, and cultural. But there's a lot of elements that have come up from North Philly, from West Philly, from South Philly, from all other parts of the city and resided in Germantown. Right on Germantown Avenue, they had several shootings. They had a barbershop shooting about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. About a year ago, they had another barbershop shooting, and in each case, somebody was killed. But the mayor that we have, we just recently got a new mayor, Cheryl Parker. I don't know if you heard about the elections that was going on in Philadelphia, mm-hmm. But now she vowed to work toward solving the gang killing problem. But in Philadelphia, we had I think it was over 600 deaths, gun-related deaths. Each year it has climbed. And I was doing a little survey to find out, well, wait a minute, what's going on the other side? And, like in Los Angeles and other places down south. And I noticed it seems to be a pattern all over the United States now, which really is very suspicious because Los Angeles, I believe Los Angeles might be a bit lower in gang and homicide, gun shootings than Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But it's all over the country, and it just don't seem right that everywhere black people are, you have this problem. And just like he was saying, the guns I believe guns are planted. In fact, there's been talk, I can't put my hands on it, but I know guys come on the radio station talking, they say they know where the police, they know where the gun houses are. And I hear that there's some say in alleys they drop guns off. I remember when they had the protests down in Center City, when people came from out of town dressed in black and so forth, and they put bricks on pallets and encourage youth to go and and break windows, and which gives the black people a bad name, Right. But it seems to be, I don't want to say a conspiracy theory, but the pattern is too the pattern is so precise for hitting every area, and so it's something behind that, I believe. But gang problem is the gun shootings is a problem. Now, I worked in the prison system, and a lot of when I first started working there years ago, a lot of the guys who got in trouble, and it's about the money thing and so forth. It was a different type of inmate. But as I stayed there for a while, I noticed that the youth coming in was a lot more violent. They thought it was a privilege to be there with their friends and stuff like that. So it's a different type of disrespectful young generation that's out there today Whereas, before, not that, you don't uphold anybody who's wrong, but we seem to be losing in the black community. We be losing our respect and all the training that we got. It's a thing that's all across the board. But it just is, to me, I think it's a lot has to do with the schooling, with education, with poverty. I mean, renting an apartment or a house is astronomical. I used to live in San Francisco years ago. They say you can't go to San Francisco now if you don't have enough money for these apartments. I mean, they're $2,000 and $3,000 a month. Philadelphia is getting up that way as far as apartments. People falling through the cracks. We got homeless people out on the street. We got people with signs. You go downtown and they have signs. They're begging for money. In fact, it's gotten so bad that the sign carriers are fighting over their spot to beg from. You got one guy who said, no, this is my spot. So it's good to hear news from what's happening in the West Coast. When I travel, I said, well, what's going on down here in North Carolina? I went down to Georgia, and I was asking about what's happening down in Georgia, because we don't get all the news, because the news media don't want you to know but so much. And they say, it's true. I said, what? Gary, I think you was telling me in Charlotte, the killing, the gun rate down there is per ratio is almost as high as in Philadelphia, or maybe higher, proportionate,
Right.
So it's something going on in this country, and I think, against the African American community, and we don't seem to be hip to what's going on, but it's some type of manipulation there. When you can't get a good, when the kids in the inner city, in the black community, not getting a good education, and the kids are coming out of school can't read. I couldn't believe that. I mean, there's a lot of children coming out of school, but they can't read.
Right. Okay.
And
I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off, but you brought up a good point. Alonzo, now, in your part of the country, like you said about the reading, about the literacy level there, what are you seeing, in regards to those things in your area?
That's always been an issue. But a lot of times, man, it's not so much the school district, it's the lack of support and encouragement from the parents. Here in Compton, I'm the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. That puts me in contact with the colleges, City Hall, and the Compton Unified School District. Mm-hmm. The programs are there, okay? Mm-hmm. The caring is there, okay? Mm-hmm. But what I notice is, in a lot of cases, it's a lack of parental support. Mm-hmm. Compton has a robotics program. Compton has a STEM program. Compton College will you'll pay for your books, get you a computer, feed you, get you a bus pass. Ooh. Compton College will do everything but wake you up and brush your teeth to get you to go to school.
Great day.
But because of some of the gang issues and the lack of support, lack of encouragement to do these things, enrollment is still down for black folks. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, everybody else takes advantage. They don't have the same self-inflicted restrictions that we have, so everybody else is able to take care of their responsibilities and progress as a people. Everything most of the problems that we're dealing with are self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. When I have one of my nonprofits I work with is called Hood Peace. We have a sign campaign, and one of our signs is Hood Peace, coming to a hood near you if you allow it. Because here in California, ain't nobody coming from Orange County or across town starting no problems in our neighborhoods. Everything that happens in our neighborhood, for the most part, is people live within 5 to 10 blocks of each other. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody important problems. Okay? Ain't no white boys coming from the valley shooting at black folks on Crenshaw. Wow. Okay? Ain't nobody coming from Orange County shooting at black folks in Compton. It don't work like that. Right. Most of the issues that we're dealing with are self-inflicted issues. As you, both of you are grown gentlemen like myself, and you remember that movie called Green Book. They had things that they called sundown towns.
Yeah.
Well, we got sundown towns in our own community, sundown streets, sundown neighborhoods, where a black man can't be caught in a black neighborhood after a certain time without getting his life being in jeopardy. What kind of, excuse my French, shit is that?
Right.
Well, we can't be safe in our own. Again, I'm not talking about Latino neighborhoods. I'm talking about black communities where black folks are not safe in black communities because black folks is going to give them a problem. Okay? So these are things we got to overcome for ourselves. And we can't wait for nobody to fix these problems. These problems got to be fixed by us.
Right.
Okay? In Philadelphia, people people have this thing, Black Lives Matter don't mean that to nobody. I disagree. But I do believe for anybody to respect us, we got to respect ourselves. For anybody to respect black lives, we have to be the first ones to respect black lives ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense for us to go marching and tearing up stores and going shopping. I call it shopping. I call it looting shopping. Going shopping because the cop does something, but you'll let Junebug and Ray Ray kill each other all week long, and then all you say is, "Oh, that's part of the game."
Right.
And my response is, "What game are we playing that we always lose?"
Yeah. Can I ask Alonzo a question?
Sure.
Please.
Because you're closely connected to the hip hop world. One of the things that I noticed in the black community is, let's take the rappers. You have Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z, and your top guys who made millions of dollars on rap, but a lot of the gangster rap, these kids are trying to live out the lyrics of the music. Now, when I drive my car down through Philadelphia, I hear a lot of the music coming from other people's cars. But what I'm trying to say is, we feel that a lot of the music is really motivating a lot of our youth. And I'm not putting it all on the music. I'm not because I like some of the music, some of the rap music, whatever. But I'm just saying there's an issue, I think, with it. And what I don't understand is this. Back in the old days, you had Nina Simone, who she was talking about Mississippi, goddamn, or whatever. You had Curtis Mayfield, so we was moving up. I mean, a lot of your black entertainers back then, they contributed to a positive a message to the black community with their music. They realized that how are you going to be an entertainer and you see all this going on and you're not addressing it. But the thing that I'm seeing, I see a lot of the rap artists today, I don't see them, a lot of them. Now, there's some of them out there, and I don't know if all what's going on, but where is the positive message coming from the music for our youth? You know what I'm saying? Now, I do understand that they say, okay, this ain't for you. This is underground. If you don't like it, then don't deal with it. This is for our underground people. Okay, fine. But what's coming through the filter and hitting the community is not good. Kill your mama, kill your daddy, or get it by any means necessary, whatever, So my question, Alonzo, is why aren't they putting out a positive spin, seeing that we are in a crisis mode right now in America? I heard that the producers back in the day, some of the white producers, they only wanted a certain type of music put out there because that was where the money was at. Okay, and when somebody came up with something positive, it got knocked down. But now you got people are producing their own music, and they're in a better position. So why can't they come out with some positive messages? Because I think that the hip hop community, the rap community, is a very powerful source. Not just in America, they're all over the world with rap. Why can't they start putting out some positive spins on this stuff? I mean, not just a little bit. I mean, why can't they come strong recognizing that we are in trouble right now and we need to send out a positive message?
Well, one, like you said earlier, back in the day, we had gatekeepers that were responsible for a lot of the stuff we heard back then. But now, because it's so easy to produce, music is, man, the cost of making a song is zilch. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could make a song right now on my phone and put it up on Spotify. And if I get lucky and it goes viral, I can make money off of that. Right. And most new artists don't want to be create. They don't want to create something different. They don't want to take chances. They want to, however the algorithms that are making the money, that's where they're going to roll. That's where they're going to go. It's like the river. The river that flows the fastest, I'm gonna roll with that. I don't care if it's infested with alligators and turtles, whatever the case, snapper turtles. If I can get paid on this river right here, I will take the chances with the alligators and the snapping turtles rather than go down this smooth river a little slower, but it's only got goldfish and carp in it. But this one right here is a little bit more dangerous, and as more people are watching, standing on the sideline, watching me fight these alligators and snapping turtles, so I can get more attention faster. So I have to stay. I want to be where attention is, and basically that's what it is in a nutshell, Doc. There are a lot of artists that make good music.
Yeah, I know that.
There are a lot of them, but the algorithms that are set up on the various platforms are not attracted to that. They don't gravitate toward those songs. Okay. So there's no one person responsible for it, but the digital algorithms are set up to look for certain things. And once the youngsters, the artists know what it's looking for, they just keep on producing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Look, I've been running nightclubs. I've been in entertainment all my adult life. I've owned 6 nightclubs. My first nightclub was a teen club. My last club was a strip club, male exotic and female. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it all when it comes to music. Okay, I started doing music, doing teen clubs because that's what we had in Compton for years. We had teen events, the teen post. We had dance at the park. And at some point in time, the budgets cut that out. During the Reagan years, it all got cut out. So we started doing it myself. And we always made money, had a good time with no dead bodies. Right. Because the music did not encourage that type of activity. Mm-hmm. When you got music that all this talking about is self-destruction, drugs and guns, you can't help but be influenced by that shit, man. And people want to, oh no, it's just entertainment. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Music is one of the most infectious art forms known to man. Unlike a picture, unlike sculpture, music is, you'll find a song anywhere, elevator, at a stoplight, at a grocery store. A song may pop up anywhere. You won't see a picture, a movie in an elevator, but it's a form of art. Music is very infectious. I have a saying that I coined called the brain sting. You ever found yourself singing a song you wasn't too fond of? Mm-hmm. You heard it so much, but it just stuck in your head. Right. Mm-hmm. And that happened to people. That's happened to me several times. Songs I did not like, but because I heard it so much, it just got stuck in my mental DNA. And I found myself singing this song that I could not stand and didn't understand why I wasn't sing. I was singing that song. And another thing, most youngsters don't have the wherewithal to separate the artist from the character on the music. Mm-hmm. They think because hip hop was always based on keeping it real. The one thing about hip hop, unlike any other music form, it was always based on the streets and keeping it real. So when an artist said something, people took for granted that they are who they say they were. Mm-hmm. If I say I'm a gangster, I must be a gangster. And it wasn't until later on people figured out that certain artists weren't gangsters. But by that time, it became so fashionable that the gangsters started making music and started living up to that lifestyle. And here nowadays, you got cats who are not gangsters in the studio, make a gangster song, and go out in the streets to try to live up to their lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Well, you explained it because you're inside and you know what's happening. I don't. But and I understand what you're saying, but the sad thing about it is this. There were people who made great sacrifices. I'm thinking about Paul Robeson. I mean, because I'm going back old school, I guess. I'm thinking about who even though he was an entertainer, he took time out for his people. There's something about the nation that needs to be preserved. There's something about our Afrocentricity that need to be held up. And it's a sad state if the only thing that we can, only thing that we respect is the dollar, in which I call in a lot of cases blood money, because the music influences us so greatly. I mean, I don't care how young you are, how old you are. 2-year-old babies it will dance to the music. A 100-year-old guy will try to pat his feet to some music, because that's how powerful we are musical people. But all I'm saying is it's just a sad day when sometimes somebody will have to sacrifice, but when people are not willing to take a stand, you see, then it's really hard, because so many people did make a sacrifice and suffered for it. Nina Simone, she had to she went through a whole lot because of the stand that she took. I mean, you had Curtis Mayfield. He was talking about the music. James Brown's saying, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." Even though they were making money, they took a little time to throw something in there that was for our people. But today's crowd now, the main thing to them is money. Even with the youth, okay, they care about the money, and we don't want to go out astray from what we've been doing, because we might lose the money. So it's all about the money. It's just like with reparations, right? When it comes to reparations, I mean, it might sound ridiculous, but I would rather not have the money. I would rather have the conditions, like our kids going to college for free for so many years. Some people's taxes cut, some of the land that was taken from us given back, something that we can hold on to for years. But you give them $100 and it's gone. It's going right back to where it came from.
Right back to where it came from.
Right to where it came from. And I think it's blood money. You can't pay me for what you did to my grandmother and to my grandfather. You can't pay me to my great ancestors, because you're gonna give me $1,000 and say everything is okie dokie now. You know what I'm saying? No, that don't work for me. I mean, the money is fine, but we need something that's substantial, that's going to last for years and years. For all the stuff you took for 400 years, we went through hell, and you're going to give me $100 and pay for it? Get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, like you said, as soon as they, I was on another interview, and I said, if they gave us a bunch of a pile of money in reparations, it's going to be the biggest. It's going to be the biggest economy stimulus for non-black business we ever saw before in our life. Cedric Entertainment said it best. Cadillac going to be the #1 car dealer. The jewelry store's going to get all the money.
Right.
Especially if you're not mentally prepared or emotionally prepared to get that kind of money. I mean, you see what happens when you get money now. Kid get a few $100,000. He can't wait to go buy the biggest piece of gaudy ass jewelry, known to man, flex it on Instagram, and next thing you know, either he getting robbed, killed, or catch a case.
Right. That's right.
It don't make no sense, man. I mean, I would love in my lifetime to see us get reparations, but I'd also hate to see us get it after all this fight and give it right back.
Right. I'm with you.
I got a question for you. It's one of my analogies. Now, this only applies to California. I'm not sure about Philadelphia or any other state. But in the state of California, do you know who made the most money? Who still benefits from the drug trade in Los Angeles?
No.
The Korean community.
Wow.
Brothers and sisters shot at each other, sold dope, ran from the police, just to go to the swap meet at 10 o'clock to spend their money on jewelry, sweat, white T-shirts, speakers, tires, whatever it was that qualified you as being a dope dealer. And I'm guilty of the same thing. But they took that money and they invested it into a part of Los Angeles, and they have their own territory now called Koreatown. Koreatown has not always been flourishing. They bought a piece of Wilshire, which was predominantly controlled by the Jewish community. Now, I don't want to sound racist. I'm not racist. I'm just observant.
Yeah.
And here's the part that's really frustrating for a grown ass man. I'm not hating on the Koreans, because they came to the community. They saw a need and they filled it. Okay, they know we need Hennessy. They know we need fried chicken. They know we like Louisiana chicken. They know we need tennis shoes. They know we need white T-shirts, and they make damn sure if you want to buy a white T-shirt, piece of chicken, or a bottle of Hennessy, you're gonna buy it from them. Right. Before that, in Los Angeles, it was totally different. After the riots of '65, a lot of black businesses was here. A lot of black business.
Well, you hit on something really heavy there, because in Philadelphia, now I'm in Philadelphia, right? We love the Koreans and the Chinese. I mean, first of all, the Chinese restaurants is flourishing in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? And if they took Chinese restaurants out, I mean, although one Chinese restaurant had to go because the bullets was flying so bad that I guess they couldn't take it no more, because they were right there in the heart of the trouble. But you say the Koreans, they cook hummus grits. Sometimes I go and get me a breakfast. They have grits, eggs, and sausage, and they all over the place for your breakfast. They have you got your cleaners. They're, like you say, they are flourishing, and we do have some little areas where they have built their own little towns. Like, well, we got a Chinatown. Everybody got a Chinatown, but we have areas where they have their own markets, supermarkets. They got a whole plaza that they built. When they come here, they build and they put their businesses there, and they got their own private restaurants, and quietly they are really flourishing and doing well, while we're killing each other. And also the Hispanic.
Wait. They even bought into the funeral homes in Los Angeles.
Wow. Wow.
They own some of the big funeral homes. So whatever we got going on, they into it.
And listen, here's another thing. and I love them, my Hispanic brothers. I mean, I'm not saying anything against them, because I love them, but I'm just saying the facts. They have replaced a lot of the Jewish mom and pop stores, and all throughout the Philadelphia area now, the Hispanic community is putting in stores in the black community all over Philadelphia. And they have their little design. When you see a Hispanic store, you can tell, because they all have the same type of canopies and so forth. And whereas the black businesses are just not there. We don't have the great restaurants that we used to have. We're lagging, but they have come in and filled that void.
Well, I can't get mad to Latino brothers, because one thing about them, they'll set up shop in the community and they'll buy a house in the community. Okay? They'll set up shop in the community and they'll buy a house in the community. Well, I don't see that from the other folks. They'll come set up shop. They're going back to their own neighborhoods, though.
Right.
And that makes a big difference.
You're
okay?
Right.
That makes a big difference. I'm not trying to hate on no group. I'm just observant to see what's going on in my community. When I go to buy whatever I like to buy, and ain't nobody looking like me, they may be back there cooking it, but there's somebody else on the register.
Right.
They may give you a job to cook it, but there's somebody else on the register. Okay. Huh?
Always.
So I went to a club. There was a club over in L.A. They had black bartenders, and I had never seen all the bartenders had to give the money to one cashier. Okay. You order the drink, black bartender can get the drink, but they're taking the money to the cashier, and the cashier was black. Okay.
Right.
That's real talk. So when you see these kind of things, I mean, again, you have youngsters that don't know what we know. They never seen black people behind a liquor store counter. They never seen a black owned laundromat, a black owned cleaners. They never seen this kind of stuff, man. So when we have seen these kind of things, I know for a fact after the '65 riots, they had I don't know what it was, but it was a big influx of black businesses. And the crack era ran a lot of people out of the community, because unlike any other drug, crack made people not give a damn about nobody. Wow. They was killing and shooting any and everything. Okay. And just because you may have grown up in that store, patronized that store 1,000 times, but you'd be the first. The crackheads would be the first ones to go and rob Mr. Johnson or follow Mr. Johnson home, because most of the time they lived in the neighborhood.
Right.
The black store owners lived in the neighborhood. People knew where they lived at, and they break in their house. They did it to me. Wow. They didn't follow me home. They broke into my house like they had keys in my house, man. And I had my nightclub. They break into my house like they had keys. Okay.
Oh my God.
And it just makes it real difficult to want to be a part of that. So I guess the other people realize I ain't gonna put myself in that position. I'm gonna get my own neighborhood. So when you walk over there, you're gonna stand out so much. We know you don't belong here.
Right. I hear you.
So it is. It's a catch-22 situation where you see the problem, but you understand why they do what they do.
Right. I hear you.
I don't hate on. I'm not hating on the Koreans or Hispanic. I mean, but just like you, we're just looking and observing and just seeing what it is. You know what I'm saying? And the drug, like you say, it has the crack cocaine and all that stuff, man. That has a terrible effect on our lifestyle and on our community. It's just
you ain't never heard nobody commit a robbery to go buy a bag of weed. Never. No. Well, you ain't never heard of. Now he might have He might have took some donuts out the bakery, but he ain't gonna hold up no drugstore or rob a liquor store to go buy a bag of weed. It don't happen like that. Don't happen like that. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I hate to cut this short because this has been a very, very good conversation here, a discussion. But before we go, let's get Alonzo to just tell us about some of the things that you're doing now, and some of the new projects you got coming up. Just what's going on and stuff with you outside of, this serious discussion. Go ahead.
Well, first, anybody want to contact me, I have a special number. It's 424-363-8141. Text in the message, put Lonzo, and you'll be a part of my direct text program where I can have your number and email address. I keep you abreast of what I got going on. I just finished my new documentary.
Can you repeat that number again?
424-363-8141. And that's a text number in the message. Just put Lonzo, and you'll get a response from me. I just finished my documentary called Eve After Dark, From Compton to the Super Bowl. Wow. And I'm not sure if you know that, but 2022 Super Bowl, Dr. Dre stood on my club and introduced it to the world. And me and my partner, David Velo Stewart, did a documentary about the Eve After Dark and to show the world what kind of impact it had on the community. And that's a story within itself. I'm also the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce. June 16th, I'm hosting my third annual Father's Day event. I'm a Father's Day. I was born on Father's Day, my birthday. That's the same day of my birthday. I'm a product of mentorship from my dad and his friends, and I've come to realize that we as men get a lot of responsibility. We don't get a lot of glory though. We get all the responsibility and all the blame, but no glory. So I may take it upon myself to show some love to the brothers of Compton. I ain't big enough to do the whole world, but I'm starting off with Compton and doing a Father's Day event where we have we feed the fathers and we pick fathers from the community to acknowledge them with a certificate of appreciation and swag bags and some other situations. We have the Veterans Administration going to be there, well, mental health, a few other groups, and I'm also a prostate cancer advocate. I'm a prostate cancer survivor. So, these are things that only men deal with. There's a lot of programs for a lot of women, no disrespect to nobody, but I realize if we don't look out for us, ain't nobody else going to do it. They ain't done it all this time.
That's right. Absolutely. Right.
So at the risk of sounding toxic, I'm looking out for the fellas.
Okay.
And trust me, I love me some sisters, but I'm looking out for the fellas. That's all.
Right.
That's all. I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm just trying to be helpful.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, hey, like I said, this has been a very, very good discussion. And hopefully, Alonzo, you'll join us again to do this again.
Please give me a call. No problem.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Haard News, hosted by Gary C.Clement. Haard News is created, written, and produced by Gary C.Clement for G2 Network Media. This production, like all our productions, are produced in-house, and our guest comments are not solely our thoughts or views, but strictly their opinions. We are not responsible for their interpretations of the questions we ask and reserve the right to express our thoughts and opinions separately, with the overall objective to educate, inspire, and promote with positive and intriguing thoughts and news. If you have any news ideas, news stories that you want us to consider for discussion, please send them to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charles, C as in Charles, presents@yahoo.com. This has been a G-Tube Network media production. Copyright 2023.